Now, President Trump, he's been known to talk tough on North Korea. Watch this. Roll tape.
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen. The United States has great strength and patience. But if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself.
Okay, joining us now, the author of the book, A World in Disarray. His name is Richard Haass. He's the president of the Council on Foreign Relations. Richard, you didn't like that bluster, but the hard line, would you agree, it did in the end work?
We don't exactly know that. It's possible it worked. Obviously, the sanctions had a role. But also, North Korea got done with enough testing of its missiles and nuclear warheads that it may have simply concluded it had reached a point where it could safely and securely go to a summit with the United States.
It seems like a real turnaround for America's diplomacy, certainly vis-a-vis North Korea. Are you not prepared to say that it was Trump who pushed for it and Trump who really got it?
Well, I think he talked tough. He got the sanctions through the UN, so he's one of the reasons we got to where we were. My problem with him is he talked a lot tougher than he negotiated. And the fact that we had the summit was good.
How do you know what he
negotiated?
We haven't. I mean, how do you know what he's going to negotiate? He himself said it'll take years for the denuclearization process. How do you know how he's going to negotiate in the future?
We don't. All I'm saying is we left with no definition of denuclearization, no timeline, no North Korean commitment to verification. The one tangible thing, though, is the United States gave up its military exercises. And I didn't notice, maybe you did, I didn't notice any North Korean reduction in the conventional military threat it poses to South Korea. And that's the reason we have our troops there, and that's the reason we exercise.
But the president did say there would be Americans and international observers on the ground in North Korea to make sure of verification.
Verification is not looking for things. Verification is just that. It verifies things that you know about. Verification and arms control, whether it's with the Soviets or the Russians now or anybody else, first requires the opposite side to give you an accounting of all they have. We don't know if North Korea has 20 nuclear weapons or 60. We don't know where their production machinery is. We don't know where the materials are. So verification is never any better than the baseline you're working from.
Richard, you don't seem very happy about this.
No, look, I think, again, we've taken a step away from war. If you had me on 6 months ago, I would have said, the odds of going to war were, what, 30, 40, even 50%. Now I'd say they're probably down in the next 6 months, a year, to 10%. That's all to the good. I just think it's a mistake to exaggerate what was accomplished. This is the top of the first inning in a 9-inning game, so let's be realistic here.
Could any other president have brought Kim Jong-un to the table?
Well, we've had other presidents that, while they didn't have direct meetings with Kim Jong-un, had negotiations with North Korea. And for what it's worth, the agreements they reached were far more detailed and far-reaching than this one. So that he brought them to the table. The question is, what did he leave the table with?
Forgive me, Richard, but the Council on Foreign Relations just doesn't seem prepared to give President Trump much credit for anything.
Well, first of all, the Council on Foreign Relations doesn't take positions. This is me speaking, and when I agree with them, I say so. I thought, for example, when he used force in the Middle East, that was good. I think it's good that we provided Ukraine with certain defensive systems. I think some of his critique of China on trade is justified. The fact that, again, we're a step farther away from war is all to be welcome. I just think that, you've got to be careful of being on the other side. Don't exaggerate what was accomplished here.
What do you think are the odds, if you can give me odds on it, of eventually this is a true success, that North Korea does denuclearize? Kim stays in power, he's got security, and North Korea becomes prosperous. What are the odds that that eventually comes to pass?
I'd say less than 1 out of 10. I think North Korea made the assessment that countries that give up their nuclear weapons, Ukraine, Iraq, Libya, those leaders pay an enormous price for that. I simply don't see them going down that path with their nuclear weapons. I also, by the way, they're not anxious to open up economically. If they do that, their political grip would weaken. So I think this idea that North Korea seeks to become a modern, open society, I just don't see that as in their playbook.
Okay. Richard Haass, look, we thank you very much for being with us today. We appreciate it. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, sir.